Hey guys, and welcome back to the Ginger Realtor Show. Today, I'm delighted to have Matthew Merenoff with me. Matthew is the owner, operator of the Real Estate Recovery Group and the author of the absolutely kick-ass Short Sale Savage, which I read in a day last week. Matthew, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate you having me on.
So, look, I'm going to go with Matt because Matthew sounds like it's a Sunday name, if that's okay with you.
It's fine.
All right. So, Matt, in a nutshell, tell people what it is that your company does that makes this make sense.
So, we offer options across the board. Real estate agents that may or may not know how to handle a distressed property. Doesn't necessarily have to be a short sale. Homeowners that don't know really what their options are, and they don't know if they have equity in their house or not, especially in the market that we're in right now. I deal with investors probably more so than I've ever done before with my book that just came out. And, attorneys, title companies, hard money lenders, private lenders, mortgage companies, title companies, the list goes on. These are people that I've built relationships with, and I'm always meeting new people. Like, you and I met each other on social media. The purpose of the company is to show people that there's a different outlet, a more effective way of getting through someone who's delinquent on the mortgage and make sure that foreclosure is not on the table.
Well, I can speak from personal opinion that foreclosure sucks. I was there when I was a young man. And I did exactly what you say most people do in your book, which is I just put my head down in the sand and hoped I'd catch up and never did. So if this book was around back in the late 90s when I was in the UK, it might have helped me out. But so look, the one thing that people have to realize, I think is the sooner you come for help or the sooner you ask for assistance, the better your options are going to be.
100%. I'm running into scenarios right now because the market is so overinflated, very similar to 2005 when I got into the industry. I got into the industry where short sales were like, what the hell is a short sale? And who the fuck is Matt Merenoff? In 2007, I started teaching classes. So I already had 2 years under my belt and actually dealing with distressed real estate. And I had a different look at it, totally different spin. And the reason why I think I have the success that I have with it is because I look at it as people have the option, or they should know the options that are available for them besides foreclosure. And yes, the majority of them are liquidation options, but it's better off to go out in the terms that they want to leave versus being forced out, whether it's an auction or a sheriff selling the property. I talk about it in my book. My wife lost her house to foreclosure when she was away at college, getting a phone call at 2:30 in the morning, and her mom basically saying, hey, your dad and I are calling it quits. We're losing the house. And by the way, your dog died. So it's, all that. And she's like, and I know it's finals week, but you have to come home and pick out your belongings, because if you don't, there's a dumpster that was dropped in the driveway and all your belongings are going to go in it. And that's pretty much how it went with her. She has nothing brutal from her childhood, but I think it's Snoopy doll and a couple of photos.
That's absolutely brutal. I mean, look, the one thing that I got from your book, and I think the one thing that resonated with me more than anything else, is when I got into real estate, I was working for Signature Realty up in New Jersey. Michelle Pice, John Steingraber, great guys. And the one thing they got me into is kind of that coaching mentality. And we went and did the Tony Robbins thing. And that's what changed for me. It became a seek to serve mentality, as opposed to what can I give out that I may benefit down the line for, but it's not my core reason for doing it. So I'm all about building relationships. I'm all about making sure that, and it kind of sinks in with what you do, where you want to put people before you put your profit.
100%. And I think the main goal or focus of my company has always been is to make sure that people, and I say it over and over again, it's almost nauseating, the options are available. Foreclosure should never be an option. And I think the problem is that people get so entangled in their own distrust with either a spouse or the lender for not doing the right thing for them, and they just spiral out of control, and they have the head buried in the sand. Sometimes it's better to have somebody on the outside. After doing it for 17 years, I really should be an honorary therapist without writing a prescription, because I've pretty much seen it all the way from a cheating spouse to a massive gambling problem, where it actually destroyed lives. And just so we're clear on forget the cheating spouse, the gambling issue. You want to talk about somebody who's in distress? The husband had no idea what was going on, and the person who actually had this gambling issue was somebody who worked for a mortgage company and knew that what she was doing was successfully driving her property into foreclosure, but the addiction was so massive, and they had a ton of equity in the house. In the end, we were able to get them back on track. They had to cut a massive check that they had to take out from their 401ks to pay back the difference in the property. We got paid, a consultation fee for helping and making sure the property didn't go to foreclosure. But it was one of those situations where it wasn't the first time the addiction had gotten the best of the wife. And he said, "Hey, I appreciate you guys helping, but we're gonna get a divorce," which is sad.
It
Uh,
is, but I mean, look, it happens. Look, not everybody's for everybody, and some people need more help than somebody can give, especially if it's not the first time something like that's happened. But
yeah, of
so when it
course.
comes to let's say that we've had the whole COVID thing, people have been out of work. I'm expecting to see the bank start to become a little bit more aggressive over the next 12, 18 months
Yeah,
with regards to looking to foreclose on loans that are being become delinquent.
yeah.
If somebody finds themselves in that situation in the next 12, 18 months, at what point should they reach out to you? And at what point can you kind of go, there's nothing more I can do, guys?
So that's a good question. So I take a breath and I sigh, because if you know you're going to be late, or you're late, it's better to find out from the beginning. Um, if you're coming out of a forbearance, or if you're in a forbearance, you want to find out what your options are prior to actually putting yourself into, a deeper hole as far as a foreclosure. Reach out. I make it very accessible for people to reach out to me. You can see on the screen. I drive everything towards MatthewMerenoff.com, although I'm part of 3 or 4 different organizations. MatthewMerenoff.com makes it accessible for people to reach out to me. One thing I will say, people are like, "Dude, why do you put your personal cell phone on there?" That's not my personal cell phone. That is a cell phone number. And I'm actually shying away from the Google numbers and all these other numbers that are out there, text message. I rather just people just text message me direct. Very real, very down to earth. Best thing to do is the first warning. If you get a letter of pre foreclosure, or if your bank is saying, "Hey, do you need options? Are you looking for a way to catch up in your payments?" And for most people, Gavin, it's scary, because if somebody's mortgage payment is already $2,000 and you're behind, and they're like, "Hey, good news, you qualify for the next 6 months. We'll catch you back up." And now your payment used to be 2,000, and now it's $4,200 a month to make it so you guys can catch up.
Yeah, like I couldn't afford 2,000 because of what's going on, and now you're telling me to double it to catch up? Yeah.
Yeah, so I am seeing a lot of that. People are like, "Matt, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not going to be 2007, 2008. You're right. It's not going to be 2007, 2008, but it has a very familiar smell in the air. And COVID has actually made it worse for people that were already customers of mine that have already gone late. And what they did was they just assumed, you know what? I was helped before, I'll get help again. But they didn't take advantage of the forbearances and the deferment programs that were out there. And they successfully screwed themselves because there were programs in place. But
No, the
because they,
programs are great. I mean, my wife and I were for our New Jersey house. We got COVID. We were really sick.
yep,
And so we took advantage of the forbearance so that, and the way we did it is we lumped it onto the end of the loan.
right.
So
That's a deferment, but
so that's
yes.
the deferment. See, I don't do the finance stuff in the house. That's all Melinda.
Yeah.
Um, But I mean, we're selling our house. We're closed this week, and you almost forget that you have that second lien against the property for what you've missed,
Right.
and so that kind of may have delayed us a little bit because we'd forgot about it.
Yeah.
But we were in a lucky situation that we bought in a lull in the market. We're
Yeah.
selling at a peak, and we didn't have that worry of foreclosure or being in a short situation. I think what most people fear when you're talking to people about mortgages, and when they fall behind is well, can I restructure my mortgage? And that's definitely an option. I'm sure that's something that I've read in your book, and it's something that it should be the first thing you're talking to your loan company about if you can't catch up. Or look, what can we do?
I tell people all the time, look, you could call me if you want to call your bank, you want to talk to your bank, communicate. Communication is key. You need to have that open line of communication. When you don't communicate, look, I had somebody reach out to me 2 weeks ago. They're like, look, I haven't talked to my bank in years. We went away on vacation and we came back and our locks were changed. And they literally winterized our house. It literally says there's a preservation company to call, and we called. They won't even let us in our own house. So if you don't communicate with your bank and you go away for more than a day, and they catch it where they feel that you're not occupying the property, or if they have a suspicion to do it, they actually have a right to go into the property and secure it because you're not paying the mortgage, and they want to make sure that nothing's going to happen with the property. It's not getting vandalized. It's a very scary situation. So I tell people all the time, if you don't want to call me, and you don't want to call another professional that might be out there, you better communicate with your bank because that can happen.
No, and look, as I say, there's nothing worse than getting home from work to see the sheriff's note on your door.
No. The
Letting you
sheriff's,
know,
the sheriff's note, or the fact that your property's been winterized.
yeah,
We
that one
actually,
that one was more than I'd had, but I remember getting home. This is when I was going through my divorce in like 2008. And I get home and I'm like, oh, what's that on my door? I'm like, oh, bugger. And that was just a case of head in the sand. I'll catch up, and never did.
yeah,
So
there is an opportunity to make payments with the bank. Once you go past 3 months, 3 months is the deadline. So if you're in a situation, you could pay that month, and even though you're 3 months behind, as long as you could keep it under that 3 month period. I mean, it can't go like that forever, but if you feel like you can get back control of it, then by all means, absolutely try to do it.
okay, so when you're sitting down with somebody for that first consultation, how much information do you need to know whether you can help someone?
There's very basic information. I mean, it's really 50-50. If the person doesn't have a job, there's a chance they're not going to qualify for help. Because of COVID, you know, some of the banks are actually less strenuous as far as working with them. Okay, well, okay, so they don't have a job right now. When are they going to have a job? You know, maybe they can extend the forbearance on it, or maybe there's, you know, some type of deferment that might be available for them to get them back on track, so the stress isn't there. Uh, Ideally, the conversation we have in the beginning, it's, I mean, I joke around when I say it, but it's really sincere. You can lie to your bank, you can lie to your spouse, you can lie to your significant other, but you can't lie to me. I have to know what's going on. If you're not 100% with me and I find out from the bank that you're hiding something from me, and what
Like
is
the
an
guy who
example?
was paying cash for his house out of state.
Like the guy who's buying his property, he was in Jersey. He had an investment property. He ATM'd the shit out of it, literally stole the rent. It was a 4 unit, actually in Hackensack, New Jersey, and went and purchased another property. Didn't tell me um, how he purchased it, and some things I just don't need to know. And the bank did an asset search on him and found out that he bought the property in his name. But if you're buying a property and it's cash, you know, I'm not trying to make it so you trick your bank, but at the same point, like if you have something like that and like that's your end game, then put it in the trust, have it in an LLC,
Yeah.
put it in a family member's name, something where if they do a search, they're not going to tag it to you. and this person was facing, a significant deficiency against them in a time frame where they weren't doing deficiencies, but they could do it because they looked at it as he was committing fraud.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're paying cash for a house and you're trying to get out of another mortgage, I'm not surprised the bank came after him in the way they did, but the result you were able to help him get was phenomenal.
Right. There's a lot of stories obviously in the book, to explain to other people, like, and I say it over and over again, the options. Options are so important. Everybody always runs in the other direction because they feel like that's not going to apply to me. Or, Gavin, which is even worse, is the bank's not going to work with me. Like, this is a massive lending institution. They're not going to work with me. I got news for you. The massive lending institutions make massive mistakes filing papers, robo signing that went on, losing paperwork for people's mortgages, but still going ahead with the concept of foreclosing on someone, selling off a loan to someone else at a reduced rate, but you still have it at face value, putting in insurance claims and making it so it's almost like they're double dipping or triple dipping. So I don't really have that much empathy when it comes to the bank if we find out that there's a discrepancy in their loan. But homeowners 100% reach out, find out, maybe you do qualify for a modification. Maybe you qualify for a settlement of your mortgages. People don't talk about settlements. That is something that can happen. Or a short sale on a property, where you sell it for less than, and you move on, and hopefully you have a good accountant or CPA, and they can show insolvency, and you can move on to the next phase of your life.
Well, Matt, look, I could sit here and talk this through with you all day, but obviously we've both got work to do. We've both got
Yeah.
jobs to go to. I would love to get you back on, and maybe do a deep dive into some of the other aspects that we haven't covered today. But thank you very much for coming on today.
Appreciate it.
Guys, Matt's information will be below him throughout the duration of the video once I do the editing. So if anybody is in a situation where you need some assistance, his information will be contactable. You can reach out to him or just reach out to me and I'll put you guys in touch. That's all we have time for on this episode of the Ginger Realtor Show. Matt Merenoff, thank you very much for coming on. Guys, we will see you on Monday with Barrett Ketchian from where Barrett is from Loan Depot. Sorry, we're blanked out on Barrett there when we do our next Mortgage Mondays. But for now, for me, take care.